down here at the computer. It's 5:42 Pacific time, 8:42 Eastern, and there's a couple stocks that have moved pretty nicely this morning. Our leading gainer on the low float is FLYX, which you'll see right here. So this looks like it had some news came out, made a really nice move from this $3 level up to 650. As you can see, a little pullback there, and then a push higher up to 690. So I'm not looking to trade it here. At this point, this is pretty extended. It's had a pretty good run. What I would be watching for is this histogram on the TTM squeeze to come down and either be really small, bearish and flip back bullish, and I would probably be looking for that to happen with some support down around the 21 EMA or down at the VWAP kind of area. I'd watch for it to hold support there and then maybe make a push back up to test 7. So that's the first top gainer right now. And then the next leading gainer is ACON. And when we go look at ACON, right now we're pulling back. Doesn't mean that this is done for the day, just it's had a pretty good run up. You see it tested once it got some momentum, I should say, tested the 21 EMA and again at the 21, and then, just a little quick burst, and then now we're pulling back with the EMAs upside down. So at this point, I'm not looking at that one too seriously. And those are the two leading gainers right now. There's not too much else that's kind of interesting, at least on the scanner at this point. Obviously, things can pop up quickly and get to moving. So I'm going to go back to FlyX and take a look at FlyX here. As it looks like we're maybe trying to push up a little more here. And we are holding the 8 EMA, but, again, I'm going to just sit and watch what this does for the next couple candles. On the 5-minute, you open this up so it can be seen here. This is a nice pattern on the 5-minute, but you open this up really. So here you've got a lower volume selling candle on the first 5-minute pullback candle, and it made a nice move higher. You've got another lower selling volume candle here on this 5-minute. So these would be considered kind of that bull flag type pattern. It's had one, and then this would be the second if it resolves, meaning it's still kind of a bull flag. If it'll resolve higher, then that's great, and that would be a clean resolution. Otherwise, it'll be maybe just a fake out and then a fade back down into either lower 650s or down to 602. Even at that point, down to the VWAP could be interesting. So again, I'm just going to sit tight on this right now. I am watching the 5-minute chart on my other screen just to see what that does. I'm going to go back to the 1-minute and just keep an eye on this one here, kind of see what it does. And it would be interesting to see if we did get a little press here. Again, at this point, I'd probably want to see it curl up into the 670s and then make its next run if it's going to do it. If I do take a position here, it's going to be just small, 500 shares, and I won't add until we really look like we're going to break high of day, maybe test 7. It's kind of a nice little curl up to 667 there. Some selling pressure, you see that red flash, followed by a little bit of green on the level 2. But I don't want or need to jump the gun here because this isn't, the only stock out there. And, again, starting at probably 5:15 Eastern, sorry, 5:15 Pacific, 8:15 Eastern, has had a nice run here. So I'm going to take a starter there, 500 shares. This low is 644. This low is 644. There was a nice push there. I didn't add any. That was pretty quick up to test 7, up through high of day. I'm in at 673. So new high of day there at 699. Gonna add again right there, looking for the break of 7. That was in at 692. We do have a daily pivot at 690. So it'd be nice to see it hold above that. 701 on a high. So average cost right now 683. Struggling to hold above 7 there. I'm going to be out there 690. This may consolidate and move higher, but just a kind of a quick little stab there. Again, I'm still feeling like obviously we're extended with our EMAs. We did hold the 8, which is a good sign. Now we're just getting a little more pullback. But when I'm in like that up high, sure, like it'd be nice if this thing ripped 750 and I had a chance to add up and maybe get up to 3,000 shares. But I'm also not under the premise that I'm not operating under the premise that this thing could just, go, go, go. I'd rather play a little defensive when I still have these EMAs spread out and be a little bit quicker to close the position there. So very small, very small gainer there, but nice little trade nonetheless. Just a kind of a stab at it. We've got a new 5-minute candle that's in the process of forming right now. We do have another stock hitting the scanner. It's lower price. This is JTAI. And as you can see, it made a real big push there, consolidated, and then up to 99 cents from 75. So percentage-wise, that's a really big gain. And sometimes these lower price stocks, they just make great moves, and so they can definitely be a good opportunity. I still think FLYX is probably the most interesting, just given its price range. So what I'll probably do here is pull up both of these. I'll pull up FLYX on one screen and then JTAI on the other screen. That way I can kind of watch both of them at the same time. This isn't necessarily my preferred view, but if I'm trying to watch a couple different stocks at once, this can be helpful. Really quick burst up there on FLYX and just an immediate pullback. And, that's not uncommon necessarily. You can get that quick burst and then hold, and there's some support there, right, that builds right at 7. You can get a really nice squeeze if there are any short sellers that still didn't get taken out, on that burst. But when you see that, we'll just go back to FLYX from this view. When you see that real quick burst like that, it's a little more dramatic if you scale the chart out, but you see this real quick burst and then just immediate sell down. And it's just, it's longs maybe taking profits and combination of shorts entering this more heavily with us, and then just kind of that selling pressure, and you can't overcome that selling pressure down. And so then the stock continues to pull back and try to find a new support area. Now I'm kind of watching JTAI here a little more, given this pullback. Still think this is going to be, I'm going to take a starter there. That's 5,000 shares. Average cost is 90 cents right now. And my stop loss, so this low's 83. Sorry, yeah, this low's 83. I'm right at my average cost right here. And what I'd be looking for is a pushback up to give a test on the $1 level. Since this is the main one we're focusing on, I'll switch back over to it here on the bigger screen. Nice little move up there. I added 3,000 more shares, so now I'm in at 8,000 shares, average cost of 91. Still looking for that pushback up to 99. The big seller there at 85, or sorry, 95. See that get bought up as far down to 25,000, 20,000. Now it did just pull back off that 95. Looks like there could be a hidden seller there at 95 because we're not seeing that. There, a little bit of a seller pop up again. There we go, 97. 97 again, 98, 90, 98. Let's see if we can get 99. There's 99 and the dollar, nice. We can get the move through $1 here. I'm going to put out to sell 3,000 there. So I took off 3,000 shares there, 99. We're now sitting here at 98. So I've locked in a little bit, just kind of expecting, not expecting, but assuming there might be a little bit of a double top pressure there. You can see that pullback. So I'm going to take another half off. So now I've got 2,500 shares left, average cost of 94. And I'm going to go out the rest right there. So I took the rest off there, and largely I'm doing that given, now this is a smaller topping tail. This was just a really big extension candle. So when you get these really big extension candles, it, it does happen at times. I won't say always because there's never an always, but it does happen at times. You get a pullback and kind of a breather as people are looking for entry opportunities, and then you get this nice curl up with the AEMA holding, which is why I took my entry starting at 90 cents. And then given this is a whole dollar resistance level, that's a critical level, that whole $1 right there. And as this ripped up to $1, you can see on the level 2, it kind of held 98.99, popped to $1, 98.99, and just kind of sat there. And that's a little bit of my cue that there are, there are people taking profits there. So individuals that went in with size down in the mid 80s, they're taking profits. And so if I can see that and see that hesitation, then I'm looking to take profits as well. And so I did. So I started to take some off. It reattempted that 99 again, couldn't get through it, took a little more off there at 95. And then as it hit my break even, I just exited the rest at 93, which was just the last 2,500 shares. So another small winner there, which is good. And now we just sit and be patient and see what the setup does at this point. We'll flip back over to FLYX just so we can see that since it's the leading gainer here. And yeah, on FLYX, we've got this transition to strong bear here. ICON, lighter volume. Wow, big reversal there. It's popped up on some news, and then you can see how that just totally got pounded. Again, it doesn't mean that it's done. It's just something to be aware of. And the lighter volume will lend itself to that. I mean, that candle, that 1 minute candle did 105,000 shares in volume, and now you've come all the way back down to where this started. So yeah, not really interested in that. Let's go back and look at JTAI again. So on JTAI, something that would be interesting here, if we don't break below VWAP, would be to see, it would be interesting to see this get up to 95. So maybe kind of a little curl and a sideways move, and then, see if it can get that strength to really break through that $1 level. And, if it does that, then I'd maybe be interested around here, 95, to see if this can reclaim these candle wicks that we've had. This first initial one back here up to $1, and then the second one. But I think the most intriguing play would be maybe even closer to $1 for a strong break of $1, but also recognizing you could get a false breakout through that $1 level. So again, the way I would take that position is I'm going to assume that I'm wrong, and I'll take a smaller starter position. And then if I am wrong, then I'm not in big size. And if I'm right, then I can just add over $1, and as it moves higher, my stop loss is maybe 98, 99 cents, or I can assume break even and protect myself on the downside. So much of this is just trying to preserve capital and make sure that you're protecting yourself on the downside. That's a critical component, especially when these low float stocks can move really, really fast. Obviously, risk management is important all the time, but particularly with these low float stocks, you're just trying to find, more more favorable entry conditions. This is kind of interesting. So we've held the VWAP, and then now we're holding the ADMA. One thing I'm watching for is this trend, this downtrend on the TTM. And again, the flip to these darker blue bars, it doesn't mean that this couldn't go higher and push up into the higher 90s. And, as you get these downtrends, like if we go look at FLYX as a good example of that. So same thing here. You had this downtrending. The stock was moving sideways, consolidating. You put in a pivot low here, and then you do, it's kind of interesting because you get these tops, false breakout, kind of false breakout, false breakout. And by false breakout, I mean, we're breaking the prior 1 minute candle, but it's not holding. And so you start to see that happen once, twice. Then obviously people get more hesitant the third time. And then now you're looking support in the 560s. And as soon as that holds it again, if you can take that and assume a stop loss at, maybe 560, this low is 568, the pivot right there, 562. So maybe you assume 560 stop loss. If your entry can be there, 587, you are still risking 27 cents. And so maybe you need to be even a little lighter on your position size. But then at that point, you do get this next move up. But I'm highlighting that to say you can have this downtrending TTM and still get the stock moving higher. So there's not a one size fits all rule, if you will, related to this. It's just being aware that the stock's going to do what it's going to do, and our objective is to be disciplined and take the opportunities that it presents to us. So nice little curl up there. I do expect to see additional selling pressure up at this $1 level. There was a big 49,000. Sorry, that'd be 49,000 share seller. There 95. That's getting bought up. 23,000 share seller. So at this point, it'd be really nice to see this consolidate just a little bit and then make its press. Because I could be interested if this will hold the 8. If it will hold 90. Maybe 89 is my stop loss on a starter position, and then look for the next leg. There's the 8 EMA touch. Quite a bit of green there on the level 2. Again, by way of reminder, I am trading in the simulator. I'm definitely not advocating you follow me on any trades or buy anything that I'm looking at or that I talk about. This is for entertainment purposes only.